Previously on SparkFun Live.
I have a bad feeling about this.
You'll never get away with this.
We're not so different, you and I.
Game over, man! Game over!
Get me the president.
Which red wire? She's gonna blow!
What I do have are a very particular set of skills.
Don't you die on me!
We were family. I thought you were my brother. But you threw it all away. And for what? Nothing.
Just shut up and kiss me.
Sure picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Give me a secure command prompt. We're gonna hack into the NSA.
In 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome to a very special Thanksgiving edition of SparkFun Live. My name's Mike Grusin, I'm one of the engineers here at SparkFun. With me is Pamela Cortez.
Hello guys.
And the newest member of the SparkFun family, Alina George. We're going to show you a couple pretty neat projects today. Pamela's going to show you a tweeting turkey timer thermometer. I know there's a lot of T's in there. I never can.
There's a lot of T's.
A lot of T's.
Alliteration, always the way to go.
Which is based on the Edison processor from Intel, which is a brand new and really cool part. And so we hope that you use that in a lot of stuff. And for the kids who might not be into such advanced things, Alina's got some really cool Thanksgiving projects that you can do around the table. Make a centerpiece, make something you can put up on the fridge that actually incorporates some electronics, and you can actually learn some circuitry. So welcome, let's take it away.
Right, so we're going to start off with something simple. These are circuits that we are making with paper and copper tape. And as you saw with my dear friend, the demonic turkey, it basically lights up behind and the light shines through the paper. So, materials that you're going to need: paper, copper tape, LEDs, and coin cell batteries. So there is a fantastic tutorial on our website. It's called Let It Glow Holiday Cards. It was written by Angela, and so she basically put this together. And I'm just gonna walk us through the steps. If you go onto that tutorial page, you'll actually can print out these templates. This is today I suppose, we're going to be making this really awesome Christmas tree that will light up from behind. And I've already printed these out and cut this out, so we don't have to do it. Basically, the template here shows you where you're going to place the copper tape, where you're going to put your LEDs, your battery, and your button. That was the other thing that I forgot to mention. Sorry. You also need a lily pad button. Tiny little thing. So, let's start with this. This is the copper tape. It is copper, it is metal, so be a little bit wary when you're unraveling it. And so we start. There is an A at the very bottom of the template. Let's begin there. You're basically going to take the copper tape and trace the line from the bottom.
You want me to hold the camera?
To the top. And you're going to use your scissors. Just cut it off at the very top. There's a little symbol up there for with a scissor. You can see that. Next, you're going to go down the other side. Same thing, just use your copper tape. Start from the top. And smooth it down. You will see that we've hit a corner. So there are two things that you can do with these corners. You can either cut the tape and put another one perpendicular. That's not recommended because the adhesive side of the copper tape is not very conductive. So what we recommend instead is to use this little folding technique. So we're going to take the tape, fold it back onto itself, the direction that it's already come, and make a really, really tight fold here. Then you're going to take the tape and draw it in the direction that you want it to go. And it makes this fantastic little fold here. I don't know if you can see that. And then, lo and behold, we hit another corner. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to draw the tape back onto itself, make a really, really sharp fold, and then pull it down to where we want it to go. These folds don't necessarily need to be very neat because they're going to be underneath the paper anyway. But making folds like that is definitely going to help the circuit. So for this last little bit here, this last piece of copper tape, we're going to make a tab of about 1/2 inch. I'm going to fold it over. And we want this tab for the battery, which is going to go right here. Basically, we're going to be making a little battery sandwich. So after you fold it over this tab, you're going to take the tape from the bottom of the tab, put it down, and work from there. So you have this little piece sticking out. And then again, go to the very end, cut it off. So now we've got all of our copper wire down. Pretty little thing. Next, we're going to take our LED, and the LED has got two little legs here. One is a positive side and one is the negative side. The positive side is almost always the longer leg, and the negative, or ground as it's also called, is the shorter one. You can also tell because the ground side will be flat if you feel around the bottom of the LED there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the two legs and bend them out. With the positive side, we're going to bend it out and we're going to make a little zigzag with it so that we know that this is indeed the positive side. Sorry, my zigzag's not very pretty. And with the other side, with the negative side, you're going to basically make a little spiral. Here we go. A little spiral. And we are going to place the LED onto our copper tape. Now, these templates are labeled for you. You've got the positive side here and the negative side on the left. What you want to do is take the positive side of the LED and put it against the positive side of the tape, of the circuit rather, and the negative side on the negative there. You're going to take some tape and basically just tape it down. When you're taping this down, make sure that each of the legs are solidly on the copper tape, otherwise your circuit is not going to be complete. There we go. Okay. Next, we're going to take our little lily pad button, tiny little thing, and if you look at the back, it's got two conductive pads. Now, we want each of these pads to be on the copper tape, not touching. The copper tape can't be touching, but you need to make sure that each conductive pad is on a piece of tape. Doesn't matter which way, it can be any which way. So we're going to put that there and tape it down. When you're taping down the button, you want to be careful not to tape over the button because that's going to prove very difficult to press down. So, there we go, second piece of tape. All right, now we're going to take our coin cell battery. Here it is. The battery's got two sides. On the front, this is the positive side. It's always going to have a little plus symbol. On the back, it's the negative side. So for this circuit, we're going to want the positive side to be face up towards the ceiling. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there, make our little sandwich tab here, and before we tape that button down, let's go ahead and tape the battery down. We're going to press the button to make sure everything works. Ta-da! Circuit is a go. So we can go ahead and tape that down. If your circuit is not lighting up, there are a couple of things. One, you make sure that everything is taped down and actually touching the copper tape. You want to make sure that your circuit is complete. Sometimes the LED legs like to not sit flat. Or perhaps you've gotten the legs wrong and you've switched the LED. So you could have put the positive leg on the side that says negative and vice versa. To fix that, instead of pulling up the LED, you can just flip over the battery and it'll still work. So, that was pretty simple. We've got ourselves a Christmas tree. Find the button now. Here we go. Pretty simple. You can also use more than one LED. I've already done this one. So there are two LEDs here. We've got a red one and we've got one of the RGB cycling LEDs. Press the button and the cycling LED is not getting quite enough power. So if you're going to do something like this with two LEDs, it's best to use a resistor to increase the power. We also have a couple of different materials that you can use for similar projects. You can use conductive thread, we have conductive paint, pens, and all of those are great. This is a fantastic project for families, for, I don't know, everybody's got little siblings or doing with your grandparents. It's a fun activity for while you're sitting around waiting for 8 hours while the turkey's cooking. What else? I think that's it. We have a couple of different sizes of LEDs. We've got the really tiny ones, and these are the 3mm ones. And then we've also got the bigger ones, which are in this baggie here, that are 5mm bigger. We also have LEDs with our lily pad LEDs, which are flatter, which are great if you're really actually going to be folding these cards. And I think that's it. Can you think of anything else? Have I missed something?
If you didn't want to use the lily pad button, what would you recommend on how to make a switch?
Good question. Sorry, I should remember that. There is a lily pad switch. So these buttons are momentary. Basically, you have to hold them down for anything to happen, for the circuit to be complete. We also have a lily pad switch where you can just turn it on and it will be on. You can also forego buttons entirely, and I'll use this one. Extend this copper tape. If we remove the button here, you can extend the copper tape and then fold it over to also complete the circuit. So there are a couple of different ways to make these. And again, the tutorial that we have online has got a lot of great ideas and also walks you through these steps.
Yay! Awesome job. Thank you for presenting this. And like you said, the tutorial's live, the templates you can download. So thank you, Alina.
Thank you.
That's perfect. Thanks.
I'm going to take my pie.
Yes. You earned that pie.
Did you want some of this?
Oh, that's okay. Would you like some stuffing? We have a box of stuffing.
Delicious.
They're like eating croutons when you...
I'll open that up while you get going.
Oh man, I don't know if I can continue with that. So got a little over here.
Do I?
Maybe some right here. So
you can put in the comments if you want us to have like a whipped cream fight later on. So there you go.
That sounds brutal. I'm not even a big whipped cream fan, so I
think I have the advantage there.
So the demo that we're showing right now with the Edison, it's been called many things just because there's so many T's, but it's a turkey tweet timer temperature demo. I already just messed it up. So if you go to Twitter and go to @GobbleTime, you can actually see the different tweets. This turkey profile already has 6 followers. It's pretty popular compared to what was just made.
Let's see if we can get that to 8 by the end of the show.
Yeah. It's trending.
Yes.
If it's trending, we have something wrong with this world. So we wanted to showcase that the Edison, we get a lot of questions about the Edison, and just a simple demo on just using social. And the reason why we're using Twitter is because this can add an element of interaction from, like, let's say you want to do a project where you look at different hashtags that's tweeting at you or whatever, and then it makes your project do something based on how many hashtags you get, or that's a little element of interaction from different people without having to sit there and, let's say, go on your site and log in, or I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, so this is just a great way where there's a lot of people who already have Twitter. So, and also there's also a lot of APIs to work with, which is really, really nice. Anything you really do is actually fairly simple. I actually wrote a Python script, so if we go, let's just get started with what is the Edison.
I literally have a piece of
I know, I saw you take it on camera. That was awesome.
What?
Hi.
Okay.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
This one? Any better?
Oh man. Oh man, I just started.
Is it mine?
Did I?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
You say basically a lot. That's fine.
Sorry, folks.
It's better than no, you did great.
I use a lot of basic.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
Oh. Our last person forgot to turn off her mic, so we're good now. We're good. Apparently we're good.
Okay.
So
what is the Edison?
That's a great question, Mike. The Edison is pretty much a single board computer that already has your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which is really nice because anytime you're getting like a Raspberry Pi or BeagleBone Black, even though they have a lot of differences to them, a lot of those you have to hook up a Wi-Fi module to, or a Bluetooth, connect it to that. This already has everything in it, and it's this really, really small footprint. You can see that, okay, this looks really big. Oh, you got your...
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is actually the Arduino dev board. So you have this little guy right here, which is actually the Edison. You can see how tiny he is. Pretty small.
Wow. So it's just that little board.
Yes, it's just this little board. We actually are going to start carrying, you probably saw on our site already, these little blocks that snap to it, because in the back there's this little connector that has like 70 pins to it that you could just go ahead and snap that in. The great way for this is you can start prototyping really fast, because this is pretty much the same footprint as like an Arduino Uno. You got your analog pins on the side, your digital pins over there, your ground, 5 volts out, all those different things. So with the Edison, you actually, when you get this board, you get your standoffs, you just snap this in. It's super, super easy to get started with. You have to have 2 USB cables. They're the micro Bs. So you can see that I actually don't have another USB port, so I'm not working with my mouse, which, you know, you don't have to have, but I'm not very good with my track. So you can see that we also have, I have a breadboard here with a bunch of jumper wires, and I have a fritzing diagram of this actual circuit. So if you go to that at gobble time, so you want a screen, please? Thanks, Nick. I was trying to be super nice about it. So I actually have the GitHub Hello Techie right here. So if you click on that, this is my GitHub. This is the repo for it. So it has this fritzing image. So you can actually go ahead, if you're on it, and you see exactly how to hook it up. It's pretty much the exact same schematic as the data sheet for that IC, and I have links to these parts. The reason why we're using this is because this temperature sensor it survives high heats. Even though we stuck it in a questionable turkey. It was actually a chicken. People pointed it out. But for the actual demo video. But this survives really high heats, which is really nice. And then we have the amplifier chip, really easy to get set up. You can just follow that fritzing. I'm not going to go super in depth with it because it's already breadboard, and we have the fritzing file, so if you want to follow that. And if you have any questions, please say it in chat, and then someone can just scream out those questions. I'm sorry, there's just so many cameras. I'm just not a weirdo staring off in the distance.
So Pamela, which connections are you using on the Arduino Shield?
So I'm actually I have 3 connections. Okay. So I have, I hope none of the teachers are staring at it right now because I just grabbed a bunch of colors, but I have it connected to ground right here, which should be a black jumper wire if you want to. And then 5 volts and then an analog pin. So I just have it on analog 0.
Okay.
So really basic. It's mostly these over here. And we have other temperature sensors too, which are really fast and you don't need this amplifier IC. So with the Edison, when you get started with it, lots of times you're going to want to flash your Edison when you get it. Instead of flashing with the Yocto image, I actually instead, let me show this. Could you screen me, please, Nick? And I'm not sure if you guys can see this really well. I have this linked on the GitHub repo too. I highly recommend trying this out. It's super easy. It's Ubuntu Linux. Pretty much it's based on Debian's Wheezy, which is really nice. It was so quick to install this. You're going to want to use Windows or Linux. You could do it with a Mac, but it was a lot faster on Windows. But you can go ahead and do the download. The installation instructions are here. And you can see after you download, I'm going to show real quick. After you unzip that file, the folder that you just downloaded, you can actually, let me see if there is actually a little run script on there, so you don't have to do a lot of work, which is really nice. It's super fast to work with. Or you can go with the actual Yocto. It's totally up to you. For me, I think for beginners, it's a lot easier to go with the
Ubi Linux?
Yes. We're totally guessing on how to pronounce this, to be honest. I pronounced it about 5 different ways already.
Well, one of them's going to be right then.
Yeah, one of them's going to be right. But this one, if you're a beginner, especially for Linux, definitely try this instead. However, keep in mind that Edison on the Intel site, they go step by step. It's super fast too, so it's up to you.
So Pamela, if you want to get files or a full distro onto the Edison, how do you do it? Do you do it through Wi-Fi or through the USB cable, or how does that work?
So you're actually going to go through the USB cable through serial. So let me open up a terminal. So I got this guy, let me move him. So you can see.
Can you make the text any bigger?
Yes.
Thanks.
What would I do without you, Mike? What would I do? So I'm just gonna, I don't know why I'm retyping this, but so you're gonna screen, and then you're gonna go ahead and dev USB serial, and then you're going to hit tab. And most people watching out there are very familiar with Bash if you're doing this, but if you're just a beginner, I'm going to try to kind of insert a little bit of tips along the way. It might be helpful for some of you guys. So I entered tab, and this number is actually going to be different comparing what it is on your machine. So I'm going to go ahead and this information is actually the same on the Intel site. I'm going to moderate. So when you, oh no, make sure I still have Wi-Fi. Should have tested this more, moving to a different Wi-Fi area. Okay. I'm going to show you guys on here too. So this is flashing, and you can see that you have your screen dev. And it should take great. I love those days where it's like it just worked for you.
Yeah. If you unplug and replug, will it make a new port or reinstantiate it?
Lovely. I have to.
And you said earlier you need 2 cables. Is one of those for power and one of those for communication?
Yes.
Is that how that works?
Yes. So you can. It's actually powered through USB, one of the cables, which is nice. With the other Intel products like Galileo, they want you to have like a 12-volt, external power supply. This just runs right off USB, which is awesome. Let's see.
Oh, hey.
Okay.
You're in.
I'm in.
You've broken in.
I'm broken in. Okay, so when you actually install this image that I did, the Ubi. There's people watching this like, you guys are idiots.
Yeah.
Okay.
My day in general.
So you're actually, the main one is you're going to have root as your login. And the default password is actually just Edison. You're going to want to change that, but I'm just going to go ahead and do that. There's a difference between if you're going to do Yocto versus what I'm doing right now when connecting to Wi-Fi. And I'm going to show you the difference real quick, just so you can see it. Let's see. Go back. So if you do you can actually go on the Get Started, and it tells you exactly how to do the Wi-Fi. It's really easy to get started with, and you pick you scan your Wi-Fi, and then you select it. It's super, super simple. For this one, you're actually going to go in. Let's see. Okay. And I'm going to show you actually where this is on the site. So if you're doing this at home, so you already have the Wi-Fi drivers are installed, and it says just edit this directory, that file, the interfaces file, and then go ahead and run. So I'm going to do that really, really quick. I've already done it, so I could show you what I've done. So all I'm going to do is Nano. So people who are beginners, Nana's your friend. Vim, not so much. But Vim is actually a lot better to work with. And when you start working with this a lot more and Bash a lot more, you're going to see that. But it's easier to get started with Nano. There's fun games online, though, to learn Vim. Vim Adventures is one of them. So if you really want to not feel intimidated by it, because some people will be like, "Ooh, you don't want to touch Vim." Don't listen to them. Play some games first, and then you'll like it. But I'm just going to start with Nano. So I'm going to go ahead, open up.
Do you really need an editor so complicated you need to entice people to use it with games?
That's a great question, Mike. But
it's a rhetorical question, actually.
But the game is so much fun.
I like
much fun.
Emacs, so you can throw that right back at me.
But I love it when anytime I'll see go up to a meetup or anything like that, and people are beginners are coming in and stuff, developers, people like scare them from using them. Like it's really weird. So this is the file. When through Serial, I've noticed that on my Mac, going through Serial, talking to this file is structured. It'll be a little odd. Because it's going to start with it looking like this, and then you're going to add your Wi-Fi information. So I have SparkFun Live, and then I have the password. And this was actually just set up as a temporary Wi-Fi that Nick Wilson, our sysadmin, set up just for this. So he didn't want to give out our other passwords, which is understandable. Okay, so after you're in Nano and you want to save this, you've already entered in this information, and then your password information is super, super simple. You're gonna hear me saying that a lot. You can go ahead and exit, and to exit, you just hit Control X, and then you have you can save, and I would hope you would want to save after you just did that. So go ahead and hit yes, and then hit enter, and then you can go ahead and run this, and if you want to find your IP address, you can actually do if config to find out what your IP address is. And my IP address should be the same. So now we can go ahead, and I'm gonna find my other terminal. So Mike, why do you love Twitter so much? As I get my
let's
other.
See. What do they say? That Facebook makes you hate people you know, and Twitter makes you love people you don't know?
I've never heard that, but we're
Actually,
Facebook friends.
We
So
are
should
Facebook. Well, we're also Twitter friends. Yeah.
So it's a love-hate relationship we got going.
Yeah. Actually, Twitter's really cool for all kinds of sort of semi-automated sensor stuff. I've seen a lot of people do things like, you can put a sensor in your cabin where if the pipes freeze, it'll actually send you a tweet over the cellular network, and it has a lot of stuff built into it. These things will reach your phone from anywhere in the world, so it's kind of a neat system to use for this sort of thing. And as Pamela said, they give you a lot of APIs, so if you have a computer that's connected to the internet, chances are you can write a program that will be able to put whatever you want into a tweet.
That's a great answer, Mike. I know I'm skipping through a lot of stuff. A lot of it
We only have an hour here.
We only have an hour to begin with, but I just
to cook our
turkey. That isn't a chicken. Maybe it is. I'm not sure.
Don't ask too many questions about that.
Don't ask too many questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Actually, while you're doing that, I'm going to open up the stuffing.
So, could you screen me, Mike? Or Nick? I just assumed you had a camera.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna get a new terminal window on here. I'm gonna SSH root, IP address, password. Again, remember it was.
Can you make the terminal bigger?
Oh. You mean people actually want to see a terminal? Is that what you're? Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is so boring for people. When you first install this, there's a lot of things that some setups you need to do. So the first setup is actually, I actually have a link on the GitHub repo. Is Python.
Wait, what is it? Can you make that bigger?
Yes.
Twython.
Twython. It's actually.
What's Twython?
It's a great question, Mike. Twython is it's a Python wrapper for Twitter. Kind of what I was mentioning before. Twitter has a lot of APIs. It's actually listed on their site all the different APIs. So if you wanted to work in Python, C++, or Ruby, there is tons and tons of APIs on the dev Twitter site, so check those out. The one that I like to work with is Twython. It's a great one because they constantly just make sure that it works, which is nice because a lot of people will start the open source project sometimes and then not, keep it updated. So if you just install, you're going to want to go ahead and pip install Twython. I just purposely found the hardest things for me to pronounce. If you have a question, you have to code it differently to tweet proper bacon. Oh, yes, you do. The question was, do you have to code it differently to properly tweet bacon temperature? It's such a great question, and yes, you do. You bacon lovers, it's all about you guys. So we're gonna get into that really soon, and maybe I'll have to do a Google search on what the temperature of bacon is, because I don't know.
Why didn't we get bacon?
I don't understand why they just don't wrap the turkey in bacon or tofurkey in bacon and toe bacon. So you got your pip. I'm sorry, guys. They picked someone who's extraordinarily
we'll
bad. Yes, we'll totally edit the 2 seconds we have.
We're live.
Pip, and then you're gonna get an error because it's like, what is pip? You actually have to install that. So with this, you're gonna do apt-get pip, which is really nice. There's that you're gonna have to download. And then you're going to download this, and I'll have a whole tutorial about this.
Pamela is really good at tutorials.
Yeah, so I'll have a tutorial. You don't have to listen to me attempt to pronounce things. Because there is a bunch of things that you will want to install.
Okay.
And pip is one of them. Another thing you're going to want to install is the actual, I actually have it up on how to install pip.
Okay.
But
and your tutorial is going to have all this in one place.
Yep, it'll have it all in one place. And you also will need to install the MRAA. And what that is, it's pretty much, Intel did this, and it's a way to communicate to your actual general purpose I/O pins on your board. It makes it super easy. And when I go into the code, I'll show how easy it is, but you do have to download that or install that. Okay, so let's just jump in the code, so that way we can answer the guy's bacon question as fast as humanly possible. Okay, oh, and you can see that I had to do a build of MRAA. And the reason why I had to do a build is because Intel has a build already made for the Yocto, but they don't have one for this.
Ubi.
Yeah, I was trying hard not to pronounce it again. If I look at you, you'll see that word for me.
That's
okay.
good. Then I'll have something to do.
And you can see I have a couple already demos on here. So let's go ahead and let's jump into the code. I'm going to do nano. Let's open the turkey tweet. Python. So let's look through all this type of stuff, and I am going to be changing the application keys, so don't even try to hack I challenge you to just hurry up and hack and make it for bacon by the end of the time.
Somebody's probably already done it. You haven't even finished the sentence, and somebody's already got your keys.
So you're like, what's up with all these keys that you have your app key, you have this app secret key, authentication token, token secret. There's so many secrets going on. Wow. So what you're going to do is actually log into your Twitter of your fake profile. So you're going to create an actual app. So my Twitter app here, I actually just created one, but you can easily create a new app. So I have Gobble Demo. So what this Gobble Demo is, it's going to give you all of your applications, the settings for this app. It's going to give you your bigger. Oh, sorry, Mike. Okay. Let's see. And if you have any questions on how to set up this app, one, it's really kind of self-explanatory, but also on the Twitter wrapper that we're using, it goes through this too. So a lot of this stuff is really documented. So you're going to, on permissions, you're going to want to change it on your access to read, write, and access direct messages. That way you kind of give all your full features of what this Twitter wrapper can do. And then you're going to have your keys and access token. You can regenerate, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to give you to the end of this live to make this bacon tweeter. And then you can change app permissions here. You can regenerate here, and you can see the owner, and you can revoke. So there's a lot of things you can do, but these are super, super important to have. And the Twitter wrapper actually needs that information. So, here. Okay, so we're going to start off with basic uses. And this is the Python wrapper we were talking about earlier. Obviously, I'm trying not to pronounce it. Let's see. So if you want to do a basic thing like updating status, super simple. So let's go into this terminal. Let's look at this. So the first line I have right here is a shebang. It's pretty much saying, hey, Python's on here. We have our import. And if you're not familiar with Python, there's, like I mentioned, there's tons of different APIs to do this in. The reason why I say Python is super easy to get started with, but also there's a lot of resources online to the point where you can just type in Python what you want to do and find information on it. So you can see that I imported the actual Intel MRAA. That's to talk to my analog pin. And if you go to that documentation to their website, they actually have, if you wanted to, let's say, use Node.js or anything like that, how to talk to these pins. So I have time, imported time, and that's for if you want to do like time sleep or anything like that. So I imported my actual wrapper. And right here is the really most important thing is to have your app key, your app secret, authentication token, and your token secret. And if you don't have your different tokens, what will happen is that, let's say you run this, you're gonna get an error that's saying that Twitter doesn't want to talk to you. Like, it doesn't want to go back and forth with you. So it's good to have all this information here. So I'm printing, I have my temp sensor. You can see that right here, temp sensor equals, and right here you have that Intel way of talking to the Edison, and the A is for analog, I/O, pen 0, and where you can see that research, that information. It's actually right here, and you can see that same information, what I did here. And you know how I kept saying this is really simple and easy? Even Intel says it is. I don't know if that's good or bad. They think it's easy too. So
it seems complicated now because, you know, you got all these different packages you're setting up and utilities, and then there's stuff on the Twitter side and the keys and things. But once you get everything together.
Once you get everything together, and if you're a beginner, after I'm done with my tutorial, feel free, I mean, you can go step by step and see what you need to install. These little things, how do you use CMake? How do you do a build? How do you do these things? So you learn a lot of really valuable skills doing this, actually, and also working in Bash, which is a great skill to have.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go ahead and screen me, please, if not, okay. So you can see I'm on that site. So I import it, which we had that on the script. I showed you guys that. You're printing that Git version. Try. So this is just say print. Print is just what's going to show up. Like it's going to read that value. So let's go ahead. Let's go a little bit more into the code. So I set this threshold. So this temperature sensor is actually 10-bit. Let's zoom into this temperature sensor. You can see
sitting on it.
These little.
Boy, it's really teeny, isn't it?
It's very teeny. It's very teeny. So with it
Can't
being.
even find it. There it is. So it's just the little thing at the very end of that cable.
Very, very little thing at the end, and it's.
Come on. There we go. Okay.
The way that it's going to show, you can see that I have 60, 80, I love how I'm pointing to my screen, no one can see my finger, 60, 80, and 100. It's just random values that I set up, because this temperature sensor will go up to 1023.
That might be a little overdone.
It's a little overdone, because it's 10 bits, so it's reading 0 through 5 volts. So, and Mike, you want to explain that just because you like?
Bits?
Yeah, you want.
Oh man, now you put me on
I had
the
to give
spot.
you something.
So, let's see. When we say that an analog input is 8 bits or 10 bits or something like that, the number of bits is how wide the number is in binary. Binary is ones or zeros, and there's probably a tutorial about this on the website.
There is. You know what? You can go to that. Mike will get it.
But you get used to these numbers after a while. If you have 8 bits, 8 bits goes from 0 to 255. So you can have 255 possible values in your sensor. If you add a few more bits, actually every bit you add after that doubles it. So if you have 9 bits, it's 512. If you have 10 bits, it's 1024. So if you have a 10-bit sensor, the number that comes out of it will be anywhere from 0 to 1024. So that's what they call the resolution. That's how many little fine readings you can get between the smallest and the highest number.
Yeah. So keeping that in mind, you're going to want to do some math for this. It's ridiculously simple math.
Yeah.
So what do I get? This divided by 5 volts. So what I did, I'm trying to make this bigger. All I did was divide 124 divided by 5 volts, or just 5. Let's see. Gives me 204.8. What that means that every 1 volt is at 204, and totally correct me when I'm totally not making any sense.
So 204 degrees C for every volt from the top. Okay.
So if I feel bad because I'm doing this in front of Tony. So I'm thinking in millivolts. So 100.
Yeah, here's our crew.
Yeah, she's our math wizard over there. This is really simple math, but any math. I literally just typed in divide by 100, which was pretty embarrassing. Okay, so you can see where I got that number. So every degree. So this is.
So basically, you're changing whatever the voltage coming out of this little guy and going all the way to your Edison. You're changing that into degrees centigrade.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, I should have just had you phrase it for me. I just got so much nervous.
Your thresholds are degrees centigrade, and that's probably lower than actual turkey, I'm guessing. I'm not a cook, so
and we're doing Celsius
I don't know if
too.
I want to eat a turkey that's 100.
Yeah, what is
100 C?
100 is
I'm not sure.
Is that like 212? 212, yeah, 212 Fahrenheit. I don't even have to use a calculator for that one. So let's go in here. And let's add for that bacon guy because
he's so patient.
He was so patient. Let's just.
They probably already hacked the
his probably
Twitter
already
account to be,
all bacon. Oh man.
The binary bacon.
It's all funny now until we're in tears that the profile's destroyed. Okay, so let's just do 90 and what does the bacon guy want to say? Just, I wish I was a piece of bacon? I don't know. I don't.
Yes, put that in. I
wish
think that's perfect.
I was as good as bacon.
Can we make a shirt that says that?
I wish I was as good as bacon. Okay, so we're going to keep going, and you see that I'm printing the C, which is for Celsius. I need to stop pointing at my screen. For threshold temp, you have your threshold message. So what we're doing is pretty much any time that the temperature reads, when the temperature is the temperature you get out of this divided by that number that we had to use a calculator to get to. We want to be able to say, hey, when you get to 60, go ahead and do this tweet. When you get to 80, do this tweet. When you get to 90, I wish I smell as good as bacon. When I get to 100, yum time. And I did @HelloTechie. And the reason why I did @HelloTechie is because if you're actually doing this silly demo at home and you want you have Twitter, when it does @HelloTechie, when it gets to that temperature, my phone will beep, and then I will be alerted, which is nice. This is actually a really simple, you're just making a status, which is nice. You can actually add an image if you wanted to. So after this turkey is done, you could have this beautiful image of a nice golden turkey if you wanted to. Okay, so then
if you put a higher temperature, can you put like a burned like
turkey?
a
Yes.
crisp
Yes, you could.
little ember?
Yes, you definitely could. So you could do some Google searching to find out what you actually wanted, what temperatures you want. But
Please, please, please do not use these temperatures for your own Thanksgiving turkey.
I'm not a cook. I go to Whole Foods each year for Thanksgiving.
We might have to put a legal disclaimer
Yes.
on this video.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this out. I do want to modify it because we had to add bacon. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Y and then enter. So to run this, I'm just going to turkey. When creating these, you actually could do like chmod space plus X, which pretty much means make this into executable because you're changing the mopeds. Okay, I'm going to jump into this. I'll have that in the tutorial.
It's all Unix voodoo.
Linux voodoo. I can have tab. Anytime you hit tab, it fills it in for you. I'm going to hit enter, and let's go ahead and see what happens. And you can see that I have that current temperature, and it's already doing that equation. So I'm going to take this heaterizer that happens to be pink, a random one we found, and you can see when it starts. Worst oven ever. You can see that the temperature is going to start going up. So I have it. Oh, look! And I reached one of my temperatures. This is boy. I do smell good. So you actually, I don't know if you guys heard my phone go off, but as soon as I reached that really high temperature of 100 Celsius, which is actually a pretty high temperature, it went ahead and tweeted. So let me go to my actual thing and let's bacon! Bacon! Who did it? Who did it? This is an insult to tofurkeys everywhere.
That is awesome.
I wish I was good as bacon. Yum time. So you can thank you for whoever decided to add that bacon. It was very beautiful. And I have the little, guys, it's starting to get warm in here. Boys, do I feel good? Yum time. The thing about Twitter, too, to remember is, can you favor yourself?
You can.
Apparently you can.
Yeah.
With Twitter, you cannot have the same message repeat over and over and over again. So let's say you hit your value of 100 and you're like, every time I hit my value of 100, tweet this phrase. So let's say you're saying yum time and that's all you have. When you tweet again, it's not going to allow you to, because Twitter has this thing where you can't tweet. It's funny because in the forums they're like, we can't release the time that, it's a little weird. It's like 24 hours. So that's why I added the values. You can also bypass this by having a list of different tweets. So you can create a list of random tweets and just go down the list. But you know, it's totally up to you. I also want to showcase, we're up to 9 followers. We're going viral. We're going viral, guys. I want to showcase.
I hope the success doesn't go to our heads.
It already went to mine.
Okay.
It already went to mine. Okay, so that's a basic use out of that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really fast to get started. There's some advanced use. So you can actually follow along a stream to find actual, if someone's tweeting a hashtag and you want to follow that. In that example, we actually, Sean and Casey did a tweeting race, and we have a tutorial about that. That's with the Raspberry Pi, and they used the same Pi wrapper. So check that tutorial out. It talks a little bit about the BeagleBone Black and the Raspberry Pi. I asked him to get me stuffing. That's all I wanted for Thanksgiving.
I love stuffing. It's my favorite part of Thanksgiving.
I'm gonna feel so bad eating in front of everyone. Okay, so you can update status with the image, posting status with edited images, search, and just you can go through this, and you can also, if you wanted to, you don't even have to use Twitter. You can send direct messages to your phone. That's actually the first step that I did with the Edison, is send a tweet with a fake phone number directly to my phone. So that's an option that you can do. Twitter is just nice because you can do the @ people can follow you. The 9 people can follow you, one of them being myself. So, is there any questions? I don't know if I kind of skipped a lot of important things, I think. I'm going to eat my stuffing in front of people.
Where do you find that tutorial you just mentioned?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So
somebody asked where you find the tutorial that
the Raspberry Pi one.
Where do you find all our tutorials? Let's start with that.
That's a great question, Mike. And yes, this is true. We can actually, so if you go to tutorials, we have a tutorial tab. You can also go to learn. We have many magical ways to get to this tutorial section. So we revamped our Learn site, so the tutorials are a lot easier to use.
So if you go to SparkFun, and at the top there's this series of tabs, and if you click on the Learn one, or the tutorials.
Or tutorials. I keep going to tutorials. Learn is great because it's actually our educational site. So you have all these different, you have your resources tab. Resources is great for educators. So let's say if you wanted some great hot sheets on how to work with Scratch, resources tab has that. They have like PowerPoints. What we teach in the classrooms is in the resources tab. We have the tutorials, so it's other way, and workshops and starter projects. So we can go to tutorials, and we have different tags. So if you actually just go to single board computers, and you can see we have different Galileo,
all kinds of stuff.
We have all kinds of stuff. So this, and setting up Doom. Okay, the Raspberry Pi tweeter monitor was the one that I was just mentioning. And he has how to register your app. I really skimmed through that super fast, but there's a very detailed on how to register your Twitter app and set permissions. And then he talks about installing, so here's that BeagleBone Black, and then the same Pi wrapper that I used. So this is a great tutorial to kind of reference. Everything I've done is been documented on some sort of level, either in the actual GitHub, or I already posted the code on GitHub. But if there's all these different, on the Intel site,
Ubi Linux?
Ubi Linux site. So everything's just kind of all over the place, but it's all there. So, and I'll make sure to get that tutorial done for you guys too, if you're interested, not so much about making this Twitter thing, but how to actually get this installed, and how to read these pins with the Intel Internet of Things, what they call the Internet of Things, MRAA.
Yeah, the cool thing about the Edison is that it's pretty much perfect for what they call the Internet of Things, where, you know, your clock can tweet, or you could tweet to your clock, or all kinds of crazy stuff.
Your turkey can tweet.
Yeah, yes. and it's so tiny. I mean, it's, you know, what, about inch and a half by an inch, maybe.
And the whole idea when they first released this was pretty much for wearables. They were really advertising, hey, this is a great thing for wearables. I even have this like ingrained image of like a fake doll, or maybe it was a real baby, but the little Edison in this little enclosure wearables thing. We're also, Jim wrote a really good blog post on this that also talks about, they have actual...
Why don't you pull up a picture of the SparkFun blocks? The Edison's really tiny, but you can see that this board is fairly good size. One of the things that we did a couple months back, spearheaded by one of our engineers, Casey Coons, is designed this series of blocks, which is actually about the same size as the Edison itself. So kind of like the Arduino, where you stack things together in a shield, you stack these blocks together, but when you stack these things together, they're really teeny. You can put these in pretty much anything you can think of.
Yeah, no, they're crazy small, and I want to show the blog post of, that Jim did with the Edison. Oh, all caps, all caps. Let's see
down here.
So Mike Hord, one of our engineers, wrote a really good why the Edison is not the Raspberry Pi, because we do get a lot of questions about why don't I just use a Raspberry Pi versus the Edison. So that is a really great read because they are for different projects. This is even small enough where you can think about it for like quadcopters, wearables, robotics. I kind of mentioned that in the past blog about how you could use this with robotics and make it interactive with the Twitter.
So the Edison does not have full-size ports on it. It does not have video on it, but it does have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Which
is so nice, which is really important. So you can develop with. So Jim, I just want to show this Intel.
Make it a little bigger.
He has to keep reminding me to make it bigger. So this guy, the Intel XDK Internet of Things edition, and I know Internet of Things is such a buzzword, so when people hear it, at this point they're kind of like, they're either super excited or they're like, when is this thing gonna kind of end? But this is actually a really cool resource. I've downloaded this. It's great for like app development. They made it really easy to get started with. So if you feel a little uncomfortable maybe in Bash or anything like that, really consider this. And it's definitely really nice because it helps you develop for your phone and pretty much any smart device.
Cool.
So
it looks like Intel's really got a lot of good tutorial and sort of instructional material.
Definitely. So, but yeah. We should have started off describing what the Edison, like more in detail before this demo, but it works.
You can go to the SparkFun website and search for Edison, and you can see the base block. I'm sorry, what are they called? Just the Edison module, or?
Just the Edison.
Okay.
Yeah, and this whole thing here is the dev kit, the Arduino dev kit. It's, like I said, it's really good if you're just wanting to get started really fast. Once the blocks are all, because we've had these blocks on the site for a while now, and people have been super excited about them to become live, and they're going to start being live soon. We're going to be filling all those back orders. I don't know when the time is, but maybe a little birdie will know in the. Yes, you can. Yes, you. Oh! I was so excited that you can, and I didn't even. So the question was, can you make this exact same demo with the blocks? So you actually can. There is a DC block. Let me pull up those blocks real quick. Let's see. I should have brought the blocks. I had a stack of them on my.
There you go. Right there.
I'm just gonna okay. So what you'll need is actually the analog digital converter block. Then you will need the actual Intel Edison. You're going to want a console block too. The console block, let me scroll to him or her or it. It's the way that you're actually programming the Edison. So you need this block to communicate with the Edison. So you're going to need that. I recommend, actually you probably could just get the starter pack, to be honest with you.
I would get that.
Yeah, you would get that. You sound like a salesperson. We're not salespeople by trade. We just love hacking.
Can you tell?
Yeah. You would know with our bad poker face if we were trying to sell you something. So the Edison starter pack, it comes with the battery, the LiPo battery, the console block, and then what I believe that's a GPIO block? Yes.
Yep.
So you actually...
You still need the analog one.
Yeah, you'll still need the analog one. So you could do that. You could have a small form factor of this, and which is really nice. And you can hook these up too. Like you'll be able to hook these guys up to it. So yes, to answer your question, you can do this with blocks, which is really nice.
And very, very soon.
Very, very soon. Because I know a lot of people have been asking when are these blocks going to be out, and we've been working really hard. And the part of being open source, we learned a lot about, especially in production, because the connectors are super, super tiny.
Yeah.
So a lot of the processes, we've learned a lot, grown as a business, developing this whole line, trying to think of we had many meetings on what would people actually want in blocks. So if you guys see a block that you're like, I would really like this type of block, suggest it to us, because we spent a long time thinking, okay, we want something for home automation, we want something for robotics, what would be awesome for wearables to make it easy. So yeah, definitely give us your feedback. There's a feedback comment. We read all of them. Our tech support looks through all of those emails and stuff. Yep. So we want to hear those suggestions.
And there's going to be more blocks in the future.
Yep. So
cool.
I think
that's awesome.
I mean,
this is sort of a silly project. I mean,
it's very silly.
If you hadn't picked that up already. But the framework is good for all kinds of things. I mean, you could hook this up to weather station or...
Yeah, and the fact that it already has that Wi-Fi on there, like with the wearables that you're seeing now, a lot of like even our Lily Pad, when connecting a Bluetooth module to it, it starts to get a little like, okay, it's getting a little bit bigger. And this already has those wireless options on there. So it's a great solution, and it's easy to make smartphone apps. So
sweet.
I think we're
cool.
Any questions?
I was looking to see if there's any more questions. I think we probably answered.
There wasn't like a war on bacon on that chat. Like people weren't like fighting over. It's not all technical.
We do have somebody who mentioned that 160 degrees Fahrenheit at the breast is perfect for turkey. So we could convert that to Celsius and put it into the
nice. I'll do that with the GitHub repo.
We don't know what's perfect for bacon yet, but I'm sure we'll hear about that. Yeah.
Oh, I got excited because I was like, oh, one favorite, but I did the favorite for the bacon. Sorry, guys. All right.
Cool.
Well, I think that's
outstanding.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for looking or just watching us awkwardly. Watching.
Thanks for joining us at the SparkFun Kids table.
Yes.
The adults are over there somewhere.
Man.
Oh, you don't like that, do you? I'll take this one then. Okay. You can have that whole pie over there.
That's perfectly fine with me.
So we've got stuffing, we've got hot dogs. I think we had a Hungry Man dinner here somewhere.
Oh.
But yeah, we hope you have a nice Thanksgiving. We are going to leave you this evening with our good friend Brendan Hamilton, who will give you his own thoughts on Thanksgiving. Thanks very much.
Guys. Bye.
Many of our customers from outside the U.S. might be hearing all this Thanksgiving talk and wondering where this quaint American tradition originated, so I thought I might provide a little historical context. You see, in the 17th century, a bunch of English refugees found themselves up Eel Creek without a paddle or a bite to eat. So they reached out to the locals and found a Patuxet native named Squanto, who was willing to teach them the hard lesson that when life gives you eels, you should, well, eat some eels. Which one would think wasn't a tough sell to English people anyway. Oh yeah, Squanto also taught them how to grow a crop called corn, and presumably how to transform the otherwise useless plant into a nice sugary goo called high fructose corn syrup that they could hurl into just about anything to make it extra awesome. Anyway, after a successful harvest of this new crop and a few other ones, the English refugees decided to get together with some native pals and have a big old feast to celebrate and to thank their creator. They ate a whole bunch of food, which included a direct descendant of the velociraptor, the American turkey, an ornery behemoth that will slaughter you and your whole family with its sharp beak and talons if you don't kill it first. Fast forward about 240 years, and Americans found themselves consumed with the task of slaughtering one another, which was far more taxing on a fellow than it is today. It was mostly achieved through an inefficient manual process of loading a single leaden bullet down the muzzle of your rifle, one at a time, along with gunpowder and a percussion cap, then pointing the hefty wood and metal rifle with your own arms in the general direction of another human being, firing it with your own finger, and then repeating. If that failed, you could affix a 17-inch spike to the end of your rifle and simply skewer your fellow American with it. If even that didn't do the trick, you could always just dig a hole in the ground, hide in it, and hope dysentery took out the other guys before it got to you. But like I said, since the killing technology was so primitive, the whole affair was especially tiresome for our boys. So Abraham Lincoln, who was president of the non-rebellious states, decided it was time for everyone to chill out for a day, catch their breath, fill their gullets with corn syrup, and slaughter some vicious turkeys instead of each other, all the while thanking their creator for the blessings they had worked so tirelessly to destroy, or save, or whatever. Right, I forgot to mention the election of 1864. So, George Brinton McClellan, who was the former general-in-chief of the... Brendan. Great-Grandpa Willie? Yep, it's me. What are you doing here? I've transcended death itself to tell you to shut the heck up about the Civil War. Really, you have to stop. What? You're bumming people out, dude. Give it a rest. Yeah, alright, I guess. Anyway, Thanksgiving. So, many Americans have been celebrating Thanksgiving since that first one, but it wasn't an official thing until Abe Lincoln said so. That's where I was going with that. Ever since then, we Americans get together in late November to sit around a big table and shout at our relatives while gorging ourselves on turkeys, which is now a hormone-pumped domesticated version of the old ticked-off left-behinds of the dinosaur apocalypse. Then we lounge about on our couches, unfasten the top buttons of our pants, and watch a mob of enormous men pummel each other into the ground over a little brown blimp that looks suspiciously like what most of us will give birth to within a few hours of ingesting all that raptor meat and corn syrup. That's Thanksgiving. One more thing though. So Abraham Lincoln said we should put Thanksgiving on the last Thursday of November, right? You're doing it again. Would you give me a chance? Ghosts, am I right? I was gonna say, we later moved Thanksgiving to a week earlier because the founder of Macy's convinced President Franklin Roosevelt to do so to expand the Christmas shopping season. Can you believe that? I can believe that. I'm just saying. Capitalism, brah. Get over it. Also, the Pilgrims didn't have corn syrup. Whatever. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.